What it does is it requires Baldoni to prove a higher burden than he would otherwise have to prove in this defamation lawsuit.
If and when their defamation lawsuit is dismissed,
the messages Blake Lively never wanted the world to see have just been leaked, and in them, she's allegedly begging her lawyer not to quit, pleading to hold the case together as everything around her collapses. But by that point, it was already too late. Her longtime attorney, Merill Conan, had seen what was coming. She had read the documents, seen the contradictions, and realized the entire case wasn't built on facts. It was built on spin. Now, Blake is scrambling. Her reputation is hanging by a thread. Taylor Swift is being pulled in, and the one person who was supposed to protect her walked away. Make sure to stick around until the end, because we'll break down what's inside those leaked messages and how they might destroy Blake's career once and for all. When Blake's lawyer Merill Conan abruptly resigned from the $400 million lawsuit against Justin Baldoni, everyone knew something was wrong. It's rare for a top-tier attorney to walk away mid-trial, especially one this high profile, but insiders say Conan had good reason. After reviewing hundreds of internal messages, PR documents, and private emails, she reportedly realized Blake's case wasn't what it seemed, and she didn't want her name attached to what was being called a ticking time bomb. Sources close to the legal team say Conan had already been growing frustrated in the weeks leading up to her resignation. She'd reportedly been misled multiple times about key pieces of evidence, only to discover that much of it had been misrepresented, exaggerated, or completely fabricated. According to one insider, Conan even confided to a colleague that she believed Blake made the whole thing up and that she was being used to legitimize a personal vendetta disguised as a legal claim. But just before she quit, something surprising happened. Blake allegedly messaged her, begging her to stay. According to leaked sources, Blake sent a series of late-night texts to Conan hours before she resigned. In the messages, Blake pleads, "Please don't leave me in this alone," and "You don't know everything yet." Another message allegedly read, "We can spin this. We've spun worse." Conan didn't respond right away, but when she did, it was short and direct. "I won't be a part of this." Insiders say the messages weren't a legal defense. They were emotional manipulation, and Conan had already seen enough. Multiple sources confirmed that these messages came after Conan confronted Blake about inconsistencies in her statements and demanded full access to all communications related to the case. What she reportedly discovered in that process made her question the entire integrity of the claim. One text from Blake even allegedly suggested targeting a specific journalist to flip the narrative in her favor, a move Conan viewed as not only unethical, but legally dangerous. It wasn't just desperation, it was damage control. Conan is said to have forwarded the final batch of messages to her legal partners with a note that simply read, "I'm out." She understood that the case was no longer about facts or justice. It was about perception, manipulation, and maintaining an image. And for a lawyer with a long-standing reputation, that was a line she refused to cross. By the time Blake sent those last messages, begging for one more chance, the decision had already been made. Conan wasn't going to be the fall person for a celebrity scandal spiraling out of control. At the heart of this case was an accusation that Justin Baldoni allegedly mistreated Blake Lively on the set of It Ends With Us, but Baldoni's team came prepared, with over 170 pages of internal texts, emails, and even calendar logs. Those documents painted a very different picture, one where Blake's team was actively building a PR campaign, not a legal one. Legal insiders say Conan privately told peers, "There's no case here, just media spin." The evidence submitted showed behind-the-scenes messaging in which Blake's team allegedly coordinated with a crisis PR firm to create damaging headlines, plant stories in celebrity gossip outlets, and time interviews to coincide with critical moments in the legal filing process. Some of the documents even showed scheduling for controlled leaks, media talking points, and outreach templates sent to friendly journalists. Baldoni's team argued this proved the entire lawsuit was weaponized, not to seek justice, but to publicly dismantle his career. In one particularly damning email, a PR rep allegedly wrote, "If we don't hit him hard this week, the public will lose interest." That line alone became a key focus of Conan's internal review. The deeper she looked, the more it became clear there wasn't substantial legal evidence backing Blake's claims, just an aggressive media plan. And once the media started asking questions, things spiraled. The court of public opinion, once an asset for Blake, suddenly became her biggest liability. In a shocking twist, Taylor Swift's name appeared in the legal legal documents, not because she made a public statement, but because her name allegedly appeared in private group chats with Blake's PR team. Some of the messages suggest Taylor was asked to help shape the narrative through silence, subtle support, or even just by association. Now, Baldoni's lawyers are considering a subpoena, and Swift might be forced to testify under oath. But why would Taylor get involved at all? And how much does she really know? According to insiders, Taylor and Blake have had an extremely close friendship for years. They've vacationed together, attended industry events side by side, and collaborated on personal projects. It wouldn't be unusual for Taylor to be included in early private discussions, especially if Blake viewed her as a trusted confidant. Sources say some of the leaked group chats include conversations about how Taylor's silence could be used to their advantage. One message allegedly read, "If Taylor stays quiet, it says everything we need it to say." Another referenced Taylor's influence over media and how even a small sign of support, like a simple photo or a like on a post, could shift public sentiment. Legal analysts say that even if Taylor didn't directly contribute to the legal strategy, being part of those conversations could make her a key witness. If called to testify, she would be asked what she knew, when she knew it, and whether she knowingly allowed her influence to be used to manipulate public perception. And if she refuses to comply, the legal consequences could be serious. Conant's resignation wasn't just sudden, it was strategic. She reportedly told colleagues the case was dead on arrival, but kept pushing forward to protect her client until the leaks started. At first, she believed Blake might be telling the truth, at least partially. She gave her the benefit of the doubt, thinking maybe there was a misunderstanding or a personal conflict that spiraled into a legal issue. But as the investigation deepened, it became clear that the foundation of the case was riddled with contradictions. Several key dates didn't line up. Alleged events were disputed by production logs and call sheets. Witnesses contradicted Blake's story, and the more evidence surfaced, the less credible her version became. Still, Conan pushed on. She tried to negotiate, tried to find a clean exit, even encouraged Blake behind the scenes to settle quietly before it got worse. But Blake reportedly refused, insisting the truth would come out in her favor and that the media would stay on her side. That's when the leaks began. First, it was the PR strategy emails, then came the text messages. Soon, journalists were contacting Conan's office for comment, citing quotes from conversations she hadn't even seen yet. Suddenly, this wasn't just a lawsuit, it was a media war, and she was caught in the middle. One source close to the legal team said Conan was furious when she discovered that some of the information given to her by Blake's team had been cherry-picked or altered to look more damaging than it really was. She felt misled, and worse, she felt complicit. That's when she made her decision. She informed her firm she would be stepping down, filed the necessary paperwork, and reportedly sent one final message to Blake. "You've crossed a line I won't follow." Once texts and documents began appearing in the press, she knew her name could be dragged into a scandal bigger than any courtroom. And with Blake ignoring advice to settle quietly, Conan made her move. She walked out before the damage reached her reputation, and before she became the next name on the list of careers taken down by this lawsuit. Hollywood has been watching quietly, but the silence is growing louder. Producers who once praised Blake are now hesitant to attach their names to her projects. Directors are unavailable. Brand deals are on pause. And Blake? She's gone quiet. No new posts, no interviews, just silence. The kind of silence that says something is wrong. In an industry where perception is everything, disappearing without explanation only fuels speculation. PR insiders say multiple companies have begun reevaluating their contracts with her, especially those that rely heavily on image and trust. There are whispers that some of Blake's upcoming roles may be recast or at the very least delayed indefinitely. Her team is reportedly scrambling behind the scenes, trying to contain the fallout, but the damage may already be done. Because in Hollywood, silence isn't just absence. It's often the first sign of a reputation unraveling. And right now, Blake's silence is speaking louder than any statement ever could. Sources say Taylor Swift was blindsided. She didn't expect to be pulled into a lawsuit. She didn't expect her name to show up in leaked PR emails. And now, she's reportedly doing everything she can to stay out of court. Insiders claim Taylor's team is working overtime to avoid a subpoena. She's allegedly considering distancing herself from Blake entirely, but the damage may already be done. What started as a quiet friendship has now become a legal liability, and Taylor knows the risks of being associated with a scandal this big. Her inner circle is reportedly urging her to make strategic moves behind the scenes, avoiding joint appearances, pulling back on private communication, and pausing any upcoming collaborations. If she's called to testify, her silence will be shattered, and so might her image, because when Taylor speaks, the world listens, and this time, what she says could change everything. And now, the messages that could change everything. Allegedly sent the night before Merill Conan quit, Blake's texts reveal panic, desperation, and a last-ditch attempt to control the story. In one, she allegedly says, "We've been through worse. This isn't the end." In another, they don't know the full story. Not yet. But the message that stunned everyone, the one where she wrote, "We can spin this. We always do." Conan's reply, according to the leak, was one line: "I won't be a part of this." And just like that, Blake lost the one person who could have saved her. What makes these messages so explosive isn't just the wording, it's the implication. Blake wasn't preparing a legal defense, she was preparing a media narrative. And Conan, a seasoned attorney with a long-standing reputation, recognized that instantly. Legal experts say that a single text like that could be used in court as evidence of intent to manipulate, not to seek justice. If authenticated, it could damage not just Blake's credibility, but the integrity of her entire case. It wasn't just a moment of panic, it may have been the moment everything truly fell apart. Blake's team is crumbling, her lawyer is gone, the press is circling, and now Taylor Swift, her closest friend, may be forced to take the stand. So now we ask, what do you think Blake was really trying to hide in those messages? And if Taylor does end up in court, will she tell the truth or protect her friend? Let us know in the comments.